Going from there, we talked about Justin Herbert. We're going to get to a list where we have to try to rank these quarterbacks, and we'll end up seeing where Justin Herbert falls into this after a astounding rookie year, to be honest. But it'll be draft style like we did back in July, and we're going to kind of just take a look and see how much it's changed since then. So I'll do with the first overall pick. I'm going to do Patrick Mahomes, the Kansas City Chiefs.
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's between him or who's about to be number 2. So.
Right.
With number 2, drop it. Don't drop it.
Yeah. See what happens.
Yeah. Kirk Cousins. I'm just kidding. Aaron Rodgers. Yeah. Obviously had the best 2020 season.
Yeah.
Most likely the MVP. I wouldn't be surprised, or I wouldn't be mad if like Patrick Mahomes has some MVP votes, but Aaron Rodgers should win it. Who knows how many more years he has? Less than 5, I think, in my mind, for sure. So he's trying to make the most out of these years, but he's doing that by putting up some ridiculous numbers.
Absolutely.
All right, number 3, Ben.
I'm going to go with Josh Allen.
Oh.
All right.
Just absolutely blew up this year. This was kind of what the Bills were hoping they would get when they drafted him. Somebody like the guy like this. It's pretty impressive. And the scary thing is, especially in these playoffs, you think about it, they have not really played that great offensively in these playoffs. They played well, but not all that great. And so I think the Chiefs are kind of possibly in for something here, in this playoff game. So. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Josh Allen at number 3.
So you're
I had him right at number 4. I went with a guy. I went with a guy above Allen, just who's shown me that he can be at an elite caliber for a longer, more consistent years.
I think
it's still the question if Josh Allen can do this again.
I think the other thing is though, as soon most of these guys at least have a solid number 1 receiver and in Mahomes' case, multiple very, very, very good receivers, right? Mm-hmm. Fast receivers. As soon as Allen, you gave him a legitimate number 1, he blew up.
Right.
I don't think that's a detriment against Allen.
No.
Rodgers has Devontae Adams. Brady this year has a bunch of dudes. I don't think that's necessarily a knock on him. It's just that, you got to have some guy that the defense has to pay attention to. And up until this point, he really hasn't had anybody, that John Brown is not scaring people. So.
No, I just think if Josh Allen regressed next year, it wouldn't be incredibly surprising. So that's why I had him just behind one more person.
So yeah, I had 3 other guys ahead of him. And I guess I kind of tried to put it in my head like this. The 3 guys, if they were playing for the Buffalo Bills, how much better would the Buffalo Bills be? So that's why I had Josh Allen at 6. So I have actually Deshaun Watson at 3.
Okay, so you're gonna put him at 4?
So he'll go 4 here, yeah.
Yeah, he was my 4. So
I had him at number 5.
Okay.
But my number 3, 4, and 5, so Allen, Watson, and then who I'll pick next, they flipped around a lot for me.
Yeah.
So I'm not mad at it at all. I think he's definitely a top 5 quarterback.
Well, I mean, he led the league in passing yards this year.
On a crappy team.
Terrible
Without
team,
DeAndre Hopkins, even.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think
33 touchdowns, 7 interceptions.
I don't think you can put him in the top 3, but those stats are kind of almost to that level. So
for sure.
Or maybe top 2 even. I don't think you can really put him past Mahomes or Rodgers, but
no, I wouldn't put him there, but you could argue 3.
You could. Yeah.
So who I had actually at number 3, but I'll pick at 5. The person I was kind of flipping around with Allen and Watson is Russell Wilson.
Yeah, that's my next guy.
He's just, like I said, the reason I put him above both of those guys is he's just been as good as those guys for a longer amount of time.
He started off crazy too.
Yeah, through the first half of the season, he was the MVP favorite, hands down.
Yeah.
Definitely, they had some troubles. And it's weird. I don't know if it was all him in the offense. Obviously, they lost. They had some running back health problems, so it was harder for him to be as good because there was no threat of the run for a long time.
Yeah.
But like also like Pete Carroll, I think just said like, yeah, we're going to go back to being a defensive team that runs. And it's like, oh, well, shoot. Like, so I think they started, that's what they started doing at the end of the season. I think if they would have just kept embracing Russell Wilson, they might have, he probably would have won MVP, but
the entire offensive line got rusty blocking. Like that
right.
was,
that's the thing. Like,
do it for so long. Like they forgot how to do it. So
I think his lower amount of production through the second half of the season was not his fault. But yeah, I think you can take him, Allen, and Watson, and if you switch any of them around in that 3 through 5 position, I'm not mad at it at all.
For sure.
Then you get to put 6.
I'm gonna go with Tom Brady at number 6.
Hey,
that's who I had.
I mean, I think he showed this year, like everybody's worried about Brady can't throw deep. I mean, he hit the most 20+ yard passes in the entire league.
His arm looked good this year.
Yeah, and his completion percentage on those passes was ridiculous.
Yeah,
I got to get on that TB12.
You look at
no strawberries.
the two old QBs playing against each other last week, and it's like Breeze can't even throw the ball past 15 yards.
Yeah.
And Brady can drop dimes on bombs right now.
Yeah. If we did this list a week earlier, it might have been a little different, but like it was crazy to see
just a huge difference.
Yeah. Breeze lost them that game and Brady won them that game.
Yeah, no doubt. And showing pretty much no signs of falling off. I mean, he had 40+ touchdowns this year, 4,500 yards. I mean, he's winning games. This is why, Tampa Bay got him to win playoff games, play mistake-free football in the playoffs. He now has 31 postseason wins, which is just absurd, which is what?
It's actually 32, yeah.
32 now, yeah, 32 now because last week. He has like more than like all but 3 franchises.
I was going to say Joe Montana is 16, so he has doubled in second place.
Yeah, so he has but he has more playoff wins than all but like 3 or 4 like teams come like together. And one of those teams above him is the New England Patriots, and he has his hand in most of those. So pretty stupid. Everybody's waiting for the fall off, and it just hasn't happened yet. So
right. All right, Joel. I think this is where the list could get interesting. So
yeah.
I'm back and forth on like 3 guys here.
Pick our boy. Pick the boy. Pick our boy.
I think I'm going to Matthew Stafford. I'm going to pick it.
Yeah.
7. All right.
That's who I have at 7.
But it was tough. There's some.
You can see anywhere from like 11 to 7, in my opinion. You can make arguments.
Yeah.
I'm not saying
for sure
you're wrong. I'm just saying.
Yeah. I just like none of the Lions' problems.
They're not his fault.
In Stafford's whole career have ever been his fault.
Toughness and grit too. Like, I mean, those numbers still looked good even while he was like injured in 5 places. Like he was just good. He was playing through it all. I give him a lot of credit.
Yep.
If Ben Roethlisberger had as many injuries as Matthew Stafford had, he would like hold a funeral for himself because he'd be like, "How am I not dead?"
Aaron Rodgers would have retired by now.
Yes.
Yeah.
They would have created new rules to keep Aaron
That's
Rodgers.
true. That's true.
So I am going to go with someone that when we did these lists before, when I picked them at, I think it was like the early teens, both RJ and Joel fought at me, to say the least. And now I'm going to pick him at number 8, and that's Ryan Tannehill.
Ooh.
Okay. All right.
I understand he is helped out a tremendous amount by having Derrick Henry. But he does every single thing that they ask him to do. He takes care of the ball. He had 7 interceptions. He can throw touchdown passes. He had 33. 7 more than Matthew Stafford, 3 less interceptions than Matthew Stafford. 3,800 yards, which isn't bad at all. Like almost getting to 4,000 is good. Sure. My trouble in what the argument is against him is like if he didn't have Derrick Henry, like can he do the things that he does? Which I don't think so. But as long as he has Derrick Henry, he is in my mind a top 10 quarterback. If he has Derrick Henry in the backfield.
I just tried to put these players on like different collective teams and then basically say, would this player be better than this player that I had next to him in my list if they were on opposite teams? So that's how I tried to gauge the talent level in my head. And I had Tannehill at 13. So that's still a significant jump, obviously, from where RJ and I.
He had a great year. I will say that.
Yeah,
he had a great year.
Yeah, but he had a great year last year. Like the end of the year, he had like over 70% completion last year.
Certainly a top half the NFL quarterback, and probably above that even right now.
Yeah. He's just like, I don't know. He's good. Yes, maybe he shouldn't be at 8, but like, I don't know. Like I look at the people behind him, and if next year they had like, if I look at I kind of my mindset when I was like deciphering between like 3 or 4 guys, I was like, if they had a bad year next year, who would I be more surprised at? And Tannehill and the next couple guys, I would be more surprised with Tannehill.
Okay.
Than some of these guys.
All right. I got you. Number 9?
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Lamar Jackson.
Okay.
All right.
Just, incredibly explosive. He did win a playoff game this year, so that was good to see for him. I think if he got a few more weapons, maybe a receiver. I mean, Hollywood is Hollywood, but he's not going to be, a big-time downfield threat necessarily. He's very fast, and that's about it. If they can get a few more weapons at receiver, I think that, maybe they can open up the offense a little bit more these next few years, and, you may even see a little bit more out of Lamar Jackson. But even where he's at right now, had a little bit of a rough patch mid-year, and kind of bounced back and played really good football down the stretch. Obviously the best athlete at quarterback in the NFL still. So I don't think you can really leave him outside the top 10.
Yeah, I had him at 11. I just he just doesn't throw the ball enough for me to be like, oh, he's a great quarterback. Because I guess looking at Joel's perspective, if he was on a team that asked him to throw the ball 30 times a game, But
no team is going to ask him to do that.
I know, but
you know what I mean?
He's lucky that he's on a team.
But if he was put on the Lions would be like, oh, sweet, 25 carries, Lamar Jackson. You know what I mean? That's what
I don't think the Lions would sign him because of that.
But he isn't another team got him, they would be like, wow, look at this.
I think there's 25 teams in the league who would not sign Lamar Jackson.
I mean, that might be the case, but I don't know. I think most teams would take him at this point.
For less money.
At wide receiver.
Less money.
Not
at wide receiver.
I don't want to pay good quarterback money.
I just want to say the racist draft profile of he's a good quarterback, but he should be wide receiver.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to make a tough call here, but because he didn't play more than 6 games, I'm going to go with Dak Prescott for the Cowboys.
No. Right. Yeah. That's fine, though, if you really think he's that good. That's fine. Yeah.
I had him at 12, so I can see where you're picking him at 10.
Yeah, but I don't know. Again, I've watched him play, and I just tried to put him on other teams, and then other teams, if he was on, even the Lions or Ravens, I still think they'd be serviceable teams. So I don't know. It's hard for me to not put him there, but obviously a small sample size. But I do think that's a huge reason the Cowboys didn't win, other than their whole offensive line dying this year. I think that's the reason they fell apart.
Yep. I agree. I mean, he's good. He's very good. I didn't have that.
I don't even want to put him at very good, though. You're right. He is above good, but he's not very good.
He's just solid. He's very – I mean, he was having a big year, though, too. He was putting up some stupid numbers for a while.
He was doing good, yeah. He was right up there with Russell Wilson for the first 3 weeks.
Yep.
But, all right, 11.
I guess we're at 11th, so I'm not too afraid of picking him. Definitely had a better year this year than he has. Yeah, I'll go with the Holland native.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins. I knew you were going to go Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, I just actually put him above the next 2 people on my list. But
so I did have Kirk Cousins at 12, though, because he did look really good this year, actually.
So Kirk Cousins, 4,300 yards, 35 touchdowns, 105 passer rating, which is I know passer rating is can be controversial, but also I think it's a decent metric. So.
It's 2021. Everything's controversial.
Yeah. So, but
punchable face.
Yeah, I think he's good. Again, he benefits from having Dalvin Cook, a top 3 running back in the league. Like Ryan Tannehill. But yeah, like Kirk Cousins. I think that's where he belongs. I'm
good about
okay
it.
with that.
Ben, you're gonna kind of reignite the power of the list, I guess, because it doesn't seem like your list is matching up in the last couple here.
We'll look at number 12, right?
Yeah, 12.
I am going to go with Justin Herbert here.
All
I'm
right.
going with Herbert at number 12.
All right.
See, I'm not gonna get mad at these places though, because I mean,
No.
if they're within like 3, especially of where I've got them, I'm like, I'm not gonna complain. I had Herbert at 15.
Yep.
I'm at 16. Yeah.
Obviously, we had him at 31 on our collective list in the preseason.
Yeah, we had no idea what to think about him.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, we had all the rookies in like the 30s.
Yeah, we didn't. Yeah, you can't.
Pretty
It's hard to
remarkable
give
rookie season. I mean, he played in 15 games. He didn't start them all, but he played in 15 games. You know, several rookie records: 31 touchdown passes, 36 total touchdowns. You know, 8 300-yard games.
Yeah,
You know,
4,300 yards in the season.
That's pretty. I mean, if you were to look at like if he had the same season next year, you'd be like, pretty good year. You know what I mean? So like, that's not just like, oh wow, he had a great year for a rookie. Like, no, he had a very good year for a quarterback in general. So I think pretty much jumped him up to the easily top half. And I'm gonna put him above some of these other guys that we're about to probably talk about, because I feel like the upside is there too. And we'll see what happens with new head coach, but I feel like he's got a chance to really possibly vault himself into the top 10.
Yeah, I still did, and I'm not going to pick him as my next pick, but because I still got 3 guys ahead of him, but I did have Joe Burrow above Justin Herbert still.
Nope.
I know he only played, 6 games, but like, even when they were playing side by side, I thought Joe Burrow was a better quarterback. So obviously Justin Herbert got to show us how good of a quarterback he is for a longer period of time. But with that awful offensive line, Joe Burrow was throwing up numbers and looking amazing. So, but yeah, I had them both in the mid-teens, so I'm not mad at Herbert being above Joe Burrow or being where we picked him.
All right, 13. I'm gonna go with Matt Ryan, Atlanta Falcons.
Ryan was a little bit lower on mine, but I get it.
I actually had him lower, but then I actually have 2 quarterbacks still available that I had higher on my list, and I'm like, I'm looking at those 3 names, and I'm like, Matt Ryan on those teams, they're a better team.
Yeah.
So that's how I tried to do it.
Yeah. All right. I am gonna go with who I actually had at 11, and that's Baker Mayfield.
Okay. I see my 10 and 11 are still available. And I ended up going my 14. I put Matt Ryan at 14, but I still took him.
I had Matt Ryan at 14 too, actually. Yeah, I'm going to go with Baker Mayfield. He showed me a lot this year, especially without Odell Beckham Jr. I actually think I don't think they're a better team without OBJ, but I feel like Baker gets to spread the ball out more. Like with a big name wide receiver, sometimes a young quarterback can be like, oh shoot, I have to make sure I get him his 7 targets this game. But yeah, Baker Mayfield did a lot for me. He uses his legs when he needs to. He took care of the ball really well. He only had 8 interceptions, which is surprising. Again, beneficiary of a good run game, but yeah, I think the Lions would be good with Baker Mayfield on there. If you put him on other teams, I think that team is still good or still pretty close to what they are. So yeah, Baker Mayfield.
All right, what am I, 15?
Yes, sir.
Oh, this is tough. I'm going with Kyler here.
That's my next guy.
That's who I had next too.
I'm going to go with Kyler here. And, began the year as an MVP candidate probably. Then, fell into some injuries and just played worse. And then obviously kind of at the end of the year just was hurt. I think, a healthy Kyler Murray all the way through is what the Cardinals have to look forward to, hopefully. And he's dynamic. He changes the game for that offense. He would change the dynamic for any team right now. And you still have that upside because it was only his 2nd year. He's probably only going to get better. So, yeah, I think he deserves in the top half right now. And had he continued the way he was playing, he'd probably be in the top 10 pretty easily. So he probably still has some limitations with his height and things like that, but certainly, I think he definitely deserves that to be in that top half right now.
Next available I have is 16. So I got all my top 15 taken care of. Good.
Same.
So 16, I've got Derek Carr for the Vegas Raiders.
Yep.
He 27 touchdowns, only 9 picks. Obviously, the Vegas Raiders took a little bit of a tumble there at the end of the season after playing very well, but I still think he's a good quality quarterback, and a lot of teams would be happy to have him.
Yep.
Yeah, Derek Carr is always hard for me to rank just because I didn't watch a single Raiders game this year. I just don't know what he's doing.
He's fun to watch.
I think he's like you said, he's criminally underrated though.
He's just very good. He's just really solid, and I think I don't know, with a better head coach, I don't really have a whole lot against Gruden. I think he's fine, but I don't know, with just a better team in general, I feel like he would really actually blow up. He had 4,000 yards again. That's 3 straight, I think, for him. So he definitely deserves to be up there.
Yeah. Well, I will go with who I have next, and I mentioned him earlier, but Joe Burrow. Again, didn't play a full season, but what I saw and the stats I saw, I really liked him. Again, I think Joel's experiment with this is helpful because if you put him on a different team that has better than scarecrows filled with straw on the offensive line, he's awesome. So, the last time he had a good offensive line was LSU, and he had the best college football season ever. But with that terrible offensive line, he was doing really well. He was taking care of the ball. He was picking his battles and picking his throws really well, I thought. So I have high hopes for him this year. I understand, again, only played in 10 games, and one of those he got injured. But, I just look at the guys we have left, and I think Joe Burrow will have a better year than them next year. So,
all right. I am going to go with Phillip Rivers next.
Ooh.
And I know he's old.
His
noodle arm is not quite to the noodle arm level of Drew Brees.
Well, they just bring in Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah, it's not great, but I'm telling you, he was solid. He was pretty much vintage Rivers. I liked the way he played in that wild card game. That might have been the best he ever played in a wild card game when he's normally stunk it up in those playoff games. He's just solid. He's probably perfect for what the Colts needed this year. A mistake-free guy who's going to, just be solid. And I think solid is kind of the way to describe Phillip Rivers at this point in his career. Whether he, comes back or, we'll see what happens with him. But I think we kind of have to slot him in, still at not necessarily top half, but right around there just because he had a good year. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't world beating, but completed 68% of his passes at that age. That's pretty good. So with a team that's, they were pretty good. The receivers were pretty good. He was able to rely on a good run game, but it's not like he had some guy, not like he had Randy Moss to throw the ball to all the time. He had some okay receivers and, pretty good tight end. So that's kind of where he was at, and still put up some good numbers and made the playoffs. Easily could have won that game. So,
Yeah, you make a good argument for why, you put Phillip Rivers' noodle arm ahead of the guy I was going to pick when it was Drew Brees. Drew Brees, and it's tough. I'm choosing between 2 noodle arms, but I feel like a lot of that noodle arm was obviously his injury in the ribs.
Yeah.
I think his ribs were just really killed the distance on his throws. I know his arm's already not what it was. We saw even at the beginning of the year when he was healthy, but I think he's still a great decision maker, a great game manager, and a great leader.
Yep.
And I think that's why, obviously, and even the clutch factor, and that's why he's always even gotten further than Phillip Rivers. It was a battle back and forth. But you did make a good argument. You have, Brees has Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara to throw to, and Jonathan Taylor and Zach Pascal just aren't the same. So I say, you could make a good argument for either or, and I'm going to take Drew Brees here at 19.
Yeah.
I'm trying to pick between 2 guys.
Yeah, that's who I have 2 guys in between Joe Burrow. I had Joe Burrow at 21, but I had 2 guys in between.
Well, he didn't play almost the entire season, so I won't go with him. So, someone I was high on last year and still am pretty high on, he's just on a bad team, is Teddy Bridgewater. So I'm going to go with him. Just like pretty decently unremarkable stats. Like 15-11 is like not cute. But also he was on an awful, like a bad team. But I don't know. I still believe in Teddy Bridgewater. I still think he is I think he's better than so right after Teddy Bridgewater, I have Rivers, Breeze, and Roethlisberger, like the old guard. I would rather have Bridgewater next year than any of those three. So that's why I put him above them. So that's why I'm picking him here. And then after that, I mean, I have Goff and Alex Smith and Gardner Minshew and Tua. I don't want them over Teddy Bridgewater. So that's what I'm going with.
All right.
I'm going to go with Ben Roethlisberger next. And another old guy. But a guy who probably could or should retire, but probably won't yet. He gets the job done. Obviously, he has some pretty good weapons around him, so he can use that. Not quite sure if he can really push the ball downfield as much anymore either. Probably better than Drew Brees, but it's not quite what he was. I mean, but I know they were down a ton, and he threw 4 interceptions, but I mean, the guy did set some records in that game. 47 completions, 68 attempts. He threw for 4 touchdowns, 501 yards in that last game. I mean, I know a lot of it's because they were, the Browns were in prevent pretty much the whole game, but I think he still probably has one pretty solid year left in him, and I think that still puts him above some of these other guys, just because I think he knows the game. He is a smart quarterback. He's been around, so I'm going to put him there.
All right, number 22. I am going to put.
Plums now.
I know, right? We're getting to a very small sample size. This guy had a small sample size. He only played 6 games. I'm gonna go with Jimmy Garoppolo for the 49ers.
That's what I have next.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, seven touchdowns, 5 picks in 6 games. Nothing.
You can look at his previous year though, and it was solid enough.
Yeah, he was. I mean, 27 touchdowns, 13 picks on that one. So. Yeah, I mean, I think he's always been a service. To me, I think in the preseason picks, I kind of compared Ryan Tannehill to him. They both had good running games. I felt like they were both quarterbacks that were serviceable enough. Now, obviously, we saw that Ryan Tannehill is probably definitely better than of those two. But to me, it was a similar situation where there were guys that might be able to do just enough to help keep moving you along as long as you get a show from the defense and a run game.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Next, I will go with one of the only 2 people I think that are left who aren't bad. They aren't good, but they aren't bad. I'll go with Jared Goff. Yeah, serviceable quarterback. Again, they don't ask him to do a ton. They were a much different team than the Rams from a couple of years ago when they had that insane game with Kansas City in that Super Bowl year. He's not chucking the ball down the field every game. He's not doing those things. They were much more balanced. And he did good in that role. He did all right. They looked decent with him in Green Bay. Or was it Green Bay?
Yeah, I mean, he has a thumb injury right now too, so you can't.
Right, and yeah, that's where the thumb injury. The game before that, I mean, he looked pretty decent when he came in for his first game back off that thumb injury. But yeah, I think felt everyone after this is just bad.
Started John Wolford over him. I mean, obviously he could still play even with a thumb injury, but they still started Wolford. Yeah, I would rank Wolford ahead of any of these quarterbacks on 32.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
They just it must have been, he was suited up. So it must have been he just must have not felt good right before the game started. Like he just must have said like it must have been either a small decision because he came in and looked pretty good, so it wasn't probably something earth shattering. Like he's like I cannot play,
Right.
but
That Wolford brought them the he could run a little bit, easily, wasn't injured, so the idea maybe was like, hey, we feel like we can win this game with John Wolford, so maybe if we can give Jared Goff one more week to rest, maybe we can get him back next week. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I'm not going to argue. Jared Goff, I had 23rd on my list, so 23rd fits.
Sure.
That's where he's picked.
yeah.
Yep.
I mean, he's the best of what's left, except for there's one guy left I think you can make the argument with, but
Yeah,
we'll see
what Ben takes here.
Oh yeah, I mean,
I know.
I'm gonna take Mitch Trubisky right here.
Hey,
Oh,
I had him at 26.
I'm gonna take Mitch Trubisky right here just because of how he played at the end of the year, and I feel like he is a better quarterback than a lot of these other guys that are left here. It's not to say I think he's good because he's not, but I do actually think he is better, and I think he may be replaced soon, but at the same time, I think he has some merit, and he may end up just being a career type of backup guy, and that I wouldn't be surprised. But at the same time, I do think he played well at the end of the year, ran into a real team in the playoffs, and got shut down. Not surprised, but that's I do think he is a top 25, 24 NFL QB. So
Yeah, I mean, two away from where I had him. So again, not going to battle that one.
yeah, I'm at 27.
This one is tough for
Yeah.
me still because I think this is
bad
It's
QB.
25 and 26 at these guys. I think everyone after that, God, I still have in my top 25, I still have 2 available. I'm going to go with Tua Tagovailoa for the Dolphins.
Okay.
And he's actually the latter of the 2 quarterbacks I had available, but I still feel like Tua is better on that other team than what this guy is on the other team.
Yeah.
I mean, he got benched for Ryan Fitzpatrick multiple times.
I just like the way
I don't think he's good.
I think the upside's there, so you can look at it with like, okay, he could be good in 2 years, but like
he's also a rookie. I mean, so I'm not gonna hold on to that too bad. I mean, it's still 11-5 touchdown ratio, which is better than the other guy that I had
it
sitting
was
there.
really bad the last 2 weeks, so that's just what I'm remembering, I guess. But yeah. I know what you're saying.
Fresh in our minds. Yeah.
For sure.
Man, I want to pick someone that you guys are going to disagree with. So
Am
I actually have someone still left who's my 25th or 24.
So do I.
I have Alex Smith left, but I'm going to pick Gardner Minshew because it's going to bother you guys.
I have Alex Smith. That's the one I had available. That's what I was going back and forth with Tua on.
Yeah,
I felt like Tua on the Washington football team, they'd be better than they would with Alex Smith, so I went with that.
But I think that Gardner Minshew is better than Tua. Is better than Tua.
Okay.
We may not be saying that in 3 years when Tua has more time to develop, but like if you're going to plop either of them on a random team next year, they both had 5 interceptions, but Gardner had 5 more touchdowns, 400 more yards, better completion percentage, better rating, basically better in every way.
I mean, I think Gardner is pretty much just a quintessential backup quarterback, is the way I look
For sure.
I think most of these guys, though, for the rest of this episode, on this segment at least, I think are going to be a career backup at some point.
Yeah. True.
So I will say, I did have Alex Smith over Gardner Minshew, but
So did I. I had Alex Smith over Tua. And
you were talking about Minshew being number 32, so I wanted to pick him at where we had him.
I'm not going to pick Alex Smith next.
Oh,
I just don't think he's
Daniel Jones.
I just don't think he's going to be able
Go
to
with Wentz.
play much more. I'm not even going to go with Wentz.
Ooh.
I'm going with Drew Lock here. All right.
Yikes.
And
Hot take.
from a pure upside, I guess look at it, right? Alex Smith, there's no upside there. All right. As much as he's a great story, I think we kind of look into that story, and then I think us as Lions fans remember he completed like 40 passes against us. So I think we were like, oh, he's good. When in all actuality, he's not that good. The Lions are just really bad. And you know what? Drew Lock closed out the year really well.
last week of the year, 339 yards. Didn't commit any turnovers. He just has some perplexing passes sometimes when it's like, dude, that like just some stupid plays. You know, went to Jerry Jeudy more later in the year. I think there's something there. Not to say he's going to be an upper echelon quarterback by any means, but I do think, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if he's top 25-ish, you know, next year. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean,
he's on a bad team too, so it's like
right, but he also is one of 3 quarterbacks on our lists that has less than 60% completion percentage.
Sure. No doubt.
He is 5% behind. Actually, he has the worst. Sorry, he has literally the worst completion percentage out of all 32 we decided.
7.3%. Yep.
Yeah. So I had him at 30.
I had him at 30. I had Drew Lock at 30. Yeah.
I think at this point, again, I'll give like all of these guys are like a bag of badness. So I do think I will say for Drew Lock's sake, coaching matters and team matters, and they ask him to do a lot. So like they want him to be a lot of a quarterback.
And he's not right now.
And his coach, I don't think is the greatest offensive mind in the world. So I give him some slack, but yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to make someone else pick Alex Smith then too. He's just going to sit there right where I have him.
All right.
I'm going to pick Carson Wentz because I think that Carson Wentz, if he was on the Washington football team, like they would be better.
Well, I think Carson Wentz of all these crappy QBs at the end is one, he's the least crappy probably, and 2, you know, easily the most physically talented. I would think. I mean, as long depending on how how injuries go for him the rest of the year. I mean, or the rest of his career. I mean, he's had issues with that, but like, I mean, it was him and Josh Allen in the same draft, right? And they were like,
no, him and Jared Goff 1 and 2.
Him and Goff, I'm sorry, yeah, and it's like. I thought Wentz was physically better than Goff. Yeah. So, I mean, he's still right there, up there, honestly, in physicality with most of the NFL, physical ability. But just, the Eagles
that was an interesting 2016 draft because obviously none of those quarterbacks that we have sitting at 23rd and 28th here. And then the 2015 quarterbacks, Jameis Winston and Mariota, aren't even on this list.
Yeah. Winston next year.
Yeah. I don't know. Wentz out of this like last 7 or 8 guys is probably the one that if he had a good year next year, I'd be like, oh, okay. So it really was just coaching.
Yeah. Yep. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Also, he had just an awful year, like just bad.
Yep.
I guess I will be the sacrificial lamb that picks Alex Smith because I would love to keep it going, but
fall on the sword.
I cannot let the other 3 guys left on the list be picked over Alex Smith.
That's
comeback player of the year, but yeah, it'll be I think it'll be interesting to see Alex Smith next year because he won't have all this like narrative behind him, so he won't be like I don't know, he'll just be able to play a season if they go with him. Like we'll see what Washington decides to do. But we whatever team, if Alex Smith starts next year, he'll be able to just have a normal year again, and we'll see what's actually left in his tank.
Okay. What number are we on?
We're at 30.
We're with Cam.
Right.
Yep. With Cam.
My bottom 2 are sitting there.
He was really bad this year. Started off really good though, so I think there's still talent there. It's just 12 rushing touchdowns is pretty nuts for a QB. That was number 1 in the NFL. So, I mean, he still has a place in the NFL. I just don't really know. I mean, I don't think the Patriots are it though for him, and I don't think the way he plays football is going to be sustainable for him later in his career. I mean, he can't, he had that one lightning in a bottle season when he was healthy, right? And you just can't continue to beat your body up the way he has and play that way. And now he's kind of figuring that out. So we'll see. I mean, I don't think he has the ability to reinvent himself.
So who do you guys have at 32 on basically the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, Darnold?
Daniel Jones.
Okay.
Darnold.
Okay, so Darnold's going to be last with Daniel
It's really
Jones.
synchronized, guys. Good job.
It's the audio. It's offsetting because it's over.
Darnold.
Yeah. We'll go with we'll put Darnold at 32 and Daniel Jones at 31 then.
Yeah,
Yes.
both bad.
Sure.
But Daniel Jones had like 420 rushing yards, so he can run kind of.
Yeah, but he
that's why-
fell.
Yeah, but he falls when he does.
It would have been so much more.
He got tackled by like the 20-yard line.
The only, yeah, I mean, yeah. Sure.
Like those white lines, man.
But that boy's fast. That boy's
He can
fast
run. He can
Yeah.
run.
for sure.
Yeah, no, Sam Darnold. Yeah, Sam Darnold. I am very happy to say would be the worst quarterback. In the league.
Not good.
I just
Neither guy's good though. Neither guy's good. Though.
no. But like, yeah.
Yeah.
The
So
only place that both of them have is playing.
Here's my
against,
thing. I think any of the bottom like 6 or 7, if you put them on a really good team, could probably be top 25, 24 QBs. If you put them on like very, very good teams, like you throw Sam Darnold. If Sam Darnold's a QB of like the Chiefs,
49ers. Let's say the 49ers.
no, I put him on the Chiefs. I think they still win 10 games. I really do.
See, but the Chiefs only win 10 games because they have a good quarterback. I think the 49ers
could win 10 games with those guys.
I think you got to use the 49ers as a experiment.
who's the most average team? Try to do the
No,
Raiders.
because the 49ers went to the
Bears.
Super Bowl. The 49ers went to the Super Bowl with a subpar quarterback. So I would say if you're going to a team where they can mask bad quarterback play, it's the 49ers.
49ers, I think he's better than 32.
Yeah, for sure.
He's probably 25, 26. I mean, he's not good, but you know what I mean?
No.
Like, not that that matters, but I just thought that.
I just like I
We're
really
fighting awfully hard for 31 and 32 right now.
don't-
Duke it
I
out,
don't
guys.
Yeah.
I just really hope they don't keep him. Like just don't keep him.
Yeah.